Hi everyone. Just coming back on the final sort of section of this tutorial session. I want to talk about packaging and shipping your mod. So this is a little fiddly, but if you've gotten this pathing stuff right with your content, maybe you're just doing maps and using the standard assets for the game, or maybe you're adding in some custom assets like we talked about. What we want to do is package this up and get it ready for sending out. Now, you kind of need to get used to the folder structures and things like that when you're working with this, but basically what we want to do is we use this package mod option, and also this is in the wiki, and this is described in pretty good detail in the wiki under packaging your add-on here. Now, hopefully you've kept this to a minimum and only transferred things into this mod space that are actually going to be used in the game. So what we want to do then is package things up. One thing I run into, if you've already packaged up your mod previously, so let me show you. If I go into my folder structure, there's my mods folder, so I'm under Conchicli Editor, Windows, Anacrusis, and then mods, and then I've got my mod folder that was created when I created my mod. This is the file that is going to generate once you when you package your mod. It's called an SBA file, and all that does is it basically takes all of the content here, compiles it into a single file. It's all zipped up into one thing, basically, into an SBA file. Now, if this SBA file already exists in your mod folder, it's going to error when you try and build a new one, right? When you try and package up a new mod. So what you need to do is delete it. So I'm just going to get rid of that. And then come back, and then what you need to do is click on package mod inside the editor. That's really annoying, and you see it shows up any mods that you've built, and it says which one do you want to package, and you say Grand Day Out, and then I'm basically going to say, do you want to save it because you made some changes? Okay, fair enough. And then it says, well, what do you want to package? I normally jump back up to mods and then click my actual mod folder, the highest level folder for my mod, and click select. And you see it starts to build, it gives you a little twinkle sound, and it starts to cook the Grand Day Out. And what that's doing is just compiling and compacting all those files down into a single SBA file. And it takes a few minutes. The more content you have, the longer this is going to take. So the bigger the file, the more stuff you have in here. So if you were tempted to just dump all of your packages that you gotten from the marketplace down into here, it's going to take ages to get through this process. Now, the one thing I didn't do either was I didn't compile the lighting on my map or anything, because I'm still in a dev, kind of area. So quite frankly, the lighting that I'm seeing right now is fine for me. I'm not going to sit here and have this thing cook lighting for hours and hours and hours. This is preview lighting that we're working with, and I just want to test this map and get it out there, for people to play with. And maybe at some point in the future, when I'm absolutely happy and I've locked down everything, I will do a full compile and let it run and do lighting for hours and hours and hours. I don't see it necessary to do that when you're just getting people and you just want people to play it initially and get some feedback. So while that's cooking as well, and it should be finished in a minute because it's not that big, we should also talk about the tool that we're going to get it up onto the, well, first of all, in your game, what you need to do to test it locally, we don't want to publish it yet at the workshop, right? There you go. You just have the tinkle, so that's basically saying it's finished. Good. To test it locally, because you should have the Anacrusis installed as a game, obviously, if you want to start testing this out, what you can do is you can take that file, the SBA file, and you see that's appeared now. That's what it generated. That wasn't there before. I can copy that file, and then I can go find my installation of the Anacrusis, which is in my Steam folder. So bear with me. I always get this wrong. So C program files 86. So, but I need to set up more shortcuts. Steam apps, common, and Anacrusis. Now, this add-ons folder doesn't exist. Normally you have to add it yourself. So you need to create a folder called add-ons, click into it, and then paste and put your SBA folder into that add-ons folder. Okay. Now I'm just going to quickly unsubscribe from my content on the workshop, because otherwise it gets really confusing because it doesn't know which version of the game I'm looking at once I get in there. If I unsubscribe, And then what I can do is run the game, the official game from Steam. And if you've done it right and it's packaged up properly, you should see it in the menus. And I'll show you how to find it. Let's give that a click. Okay, so to find it, we go play now. This threw me a bit. Episodes, start a new campaign, and then it should appear down here under these community mods. Here's my one, Grand Day Out. If it doesn't appear, or if it does appear and you every time you click on it, it takes you back to the home screen, it's because your scenario file isn't configured properly. So, for example, I should be able to click on it, and this should then change to say a Grand Day Out. If it doesn't, or to save your mod name. If it doesn't, it's because your scenario file in your mod has not been configured correctly. You need to go back and review that and make sure you've done it right. But basically, you should see it, and then you can start game and play. And then there's other things to note. So, for example, when you start playing here, if some of your custom content that you added isn't showing up, or is showing up but, for example, doesn't have the right textures on it or something like that. So when I started playing this the other day, these walls weren't there and it was kind of a huge empty space, and then I added them, fixed one problem, but then they didn't have any textures on them. They were just checkerboard sort of patterns, and that's because I hadn't got my pathing right down into my mod folder. Well, in actual fact, I haven't packaged the right textures in there. But ultimately, you should now be able to, if you've done everything right, you should be able to test this game all the way through, play it end to end in game before you package it up and send it to the Steam Workshop. Okay, that's enough of that. So then let's talk about packaging and sending to the Steam Workshop. So in order to send it over to the Steam Workshop, you need two things. You need the SBA file that we were just talking about, which is here, and you also need a preview image for your file. Let's go back to this. So I'm going to head back over to my Conchigli editor. Where's it gone? It's on the program files. Conchigli, there we go. I'm going to go back to my mod folder again. Anacrusis mods. Okay, Grand Day Out. Now, what I did, and there's my SBA file there, so I didn't need to copy it. But what I did was, you need to put it in its own shipping folder, and within that shipping folder you put the SBO file and also an image, and that needs to be a preview image of your mod, which is 512 by 512 pixels. I've literally just noticed this says 523 by 512, so mine's slightly off, but actually it still works, I have to say. But the recommended size is 512 by 512, and so you need to take a preview image and then resize that, and you need to name that preview, the file itself, and it needs to be a PNG file. Now once those two files are in that folder, you can come back up through the folder structure to where it says Conchigli Editor Win, and then click on Tools, and then click on Workshop Manager, and you'll see there's an option here, Workshop Manager. It's got that Anacrusis symbol on it. You can open that up and you can do a new add-on, and it will basically just ask you to navigate through to that folder, which is a real pain in the butt when you haven't got any shortcuts like me, because you have to go all the way back through the folder structure. Conchigli, Win, Anacrusis, Mods, Grand Day Out, and then I moved them into the GDO ship because that was basically the folder that I wanted to use, where I bundled together everything I needed, my SBA and my preview. So I just select that and then click on OK, and it would then, if you've done that right and your image file is correct and stuff, it should then create an entry like this and start to upload it into the workshop. And I think it might ask you for credentials as well, for your Steam credentials, yeah. And then here you can view on Steam or update, obviously if you've got more edits. The other thing to do is edit tags to say what type of game it is. So it's a map, in my case it's a campaign, that's it. You know, maybe you're creating other content like an accessory or charm or something, I don't know. But maybe you want to add different game types. You know, maybe you've added verses, or it's a holdout level or something like that. Anyway, so that just updates the tag so that people can find stuff on the workshop properly. But then with that done, you can basically then just go and view it on Steam, and that's what it looks like when it's out there. Brand new, so there's not a lot of takers just yet, but it's out there and ready to play. And then I personally am a big sort of updater and iterator, so I've got my first map out there, people can play it. I'll add a second map shortly, and then probably a finale, make it a 3-map campaign with a finale at the end of it or something like that, all within the same environment. But at the moment I've still only got one map there. Obviously, and then once that's done, you then come into Steam and you will need to update some details about your mod, because it will just be like bare bones. The file will be in there, that preview image will be there like this, but it will be called like your mod or something like that. And then so you need to come down here and use these options to really configure your Steam page for it. Also, the visibility will be hidden or unlisted at the beginning, so you need to change that to public when you're ready to release it and put it out into the world. But yeah, basically you can change the title and description here, or you can add more images and videos. I added a YouTube vid here as well, which you have to host on YouTube first of all, and then you can link your YouTube vid to here. But that's pretty easy to do, and that's about it. Hopefully that's useful, and there are, obviously use the documentation as well, and also don't be afraid to ask questions in the modding shop talk chat as well once you get access to it, because there's lots of people, lots of help, and it's good fun. So hopefully that is helpful and has inspired people to create some new content. And I'll speak you soon. Thanks.